We are back on my 1997 Ranger with the 351 Windsor already sitting in the bay. Last time you guys saw it, it had this Ford Neverspark as an ignition system. And we're going to go with something else. Stay tuned, we'll show you what that is. Just a quick reminder, subscribe. So I call this the Ford Neverspark, and that's not quite right. It is a factory ignition system that was available from, I don't know, I think the mid-70s onward. And it was very good for its time, and it still is a viable format today. It has pros and cons like anything else does, but honestly, I have this already. It probably works. I was told it was a running engine when I got it. And there's a lot of pros that you could be thinking, why would you not do that? Well, let me tell you. First and foremost, I'm building this for racing purposes, and I don't know if there is even a way to tune this. I don't see springs that I'm familiar with. I don't see bushings where I can affect how much the mechanical advance is and things like that. So I don't see any way to affect its performance. That's a big point for me. Number two is, guys, this is a lot of wiring. Okay. And yeah, I've been told it's not as scary as it looks, and I looked at some wiring diagrams and I can believe that. But guys, I'm just not interested in any more wiring than I have to do. And really the third and final reason that I opted against what seems like a great solution that I have in my hands for free, which I should have used probably. I can't tell you how many old cars, Fords, I've seen that have this black tar running down the fender. It's gotten hot or melted or whatever else. And, you know, guys, I don't care what this 97 Ranger looks like. I'm not trying to, I'm trying to race it. I don't care if it's really pretty or not. But even so, that just doesn't sound like something I want to do. So I elected to use the 351 Windsor Ready-to-Run distributor from Speedway Motors. It looks a lot like an MSD. It has a lot of points in common with the MSD, except for the price. This is roughly a fourth of the price, I think. So between the price point, the tunability, and less wiring for sure, this is what I decided to do. I thought it was a great price, and I never ran this unit, and for the price, I did want to try it. I want to find out if it's worth having. So this thing looks fantastic, and the next thing I'm going to do is pop it open, see the internals, and set the spring rate and the total mechanical advance allowed to the maximum setting, because that's who I am. Honestly, I've seen most V8s love to have all of the advance in by about 3,000 RPM. It looks like the lightest spring would have that just shy of that, like 2,800 RPM or so. And that's probably pretty good. So I do think I'm going to get better performance out of this than I ever would have out of a Duraspark, and that really is the final reason that I didn't say before. So let's get started, see what's inside, and see if we can get this thing tuned. Okay, so this document shows the different amounts of advance that's allowed by the different bushings on the right here. And it also shows the rate of increase based on the spring that's indicated down here. So the black springs would be a very slow advance. You'd only want that in a dump truck or something like that. Medium springs are the silver ones, and that shows a pretty gradual, I want to say stockish curve. And you'll note no matter what you do, the most you can get with mechanical advance is 18 degrees or thereabouts, maybe 19. And then we have the light springs that are gold, and that allows the advance to come in very quickly, and so you still have at most 18 degrees of advance. With this information, we're able to figure out kind of what we want to do with this distributor. If we have a very light vehicle that is able to accelerate very quickly, we'd want to go with light spring. And if we're going to have an advance that's, sub 20 degrees or something like that for the initial setting, we're going to want to run no bushing whatsoever. As this distributor comes, I believe by looking through the documents, it has the medium springs in it already, and it must have one of the 2 black bushings installed on the mechanical advance limiter. So we're going to go ahead and set this up for how I plan to install it later. So in case you guys don't know, this is how mechanical advance works in a distributor. Centrifugal force occurs when the engine is spinning at enough RPM that the weights here have enough force to overcome the spring that's keeping it closed. So as soon as that does have enough force, the whole shaft is not turning. I'm holding the shaft still, but you can see as the advance comes in, it's able to rotate the platform that the rotor bolts to, and that's causing the ignition to go to the spark plugs several degrees earlier than it otherwise would. So at base timing, it's going to be at, say, 14 degrees of base timing. And if we have this set to the maximum, it looks like the maximum is 18 or 19 degrees of mechanical advance. So when these fly open, they're going to rotate it to whatever the bushing allows for that. Make sense? All right. So I've got the silver springs in here now, and I want to have the gold ones because those are what's going to allow me to have all that advance in at the very soonest, which is what I want. And I'm really good with tiny parts. I'm really good at shooting them across the shop and never finding them again. So here's hoping this goes well. It's not my best skill set, let's be honest. What you want to do is not stab yourself with a pick, preferably. Silver, try the gold. Okay. Got both of those on there. You should be. Yeah, I can see that action's coming a little quicker. Okay, good. Now next we need to talk about the bushing. So for the bushing that limits the advance, it is right in here. There's a nut that retains it, and I'm hoping the camera will focus, but if we move these weights that we've just been changing with, you'll see that the amount that they can move is limited by that bushing. So I need to take off this nut and stab the new bushing up in there, which can be a trick. Far easier off the engine than on it, and we'll go from there. Little nut out. So that's the bushing that just fell out. So with no bushing, this is where I'm at on the gold springs. So with no bushing, it's going to have a whole lot of timing come in by really 2400 or so, and none as far as the bushing would go would put a stop at about, see, there's 20 degrees and normally just shy of that. So if we think about it, 19 degrees of advance would allow us to run 34 to 36 degrees of total timing with 15 to 17 degrees of initial. That sounds pretty good to me. So my thought is, honestly, I'm not gonna put a bushing back in. So with no bushing, we're able to get quite a bit more travel between where the coil mounts, which will effectively just trigger that signal to the spark plugs that much sooner. So yeah, by taking this out, we're able to keep a lower initial timing and set our total where we want it. And that's what I'm trying to get to. So I'm gonna put this nut back in, just because if I ever want to put a bushing in it, I don't want to have to hunt for the right nut. And guys, I'm gonna level with you on something. I don't know what this is. If you do, feel free to let me know. I am curious. Alright, so just a super quick recap. Popped in the gold springs here to allow the advance to come in very quickly. And we took out the bushing on here to get the full amount of advance. That's going to let us have the initial where I think it's going to be better off, and we'll still have our mechanical where we want it. There is also a vacuum advance on here, which is non-tunable, so it's probably set to 10 degrees, and that's something we might have to consider at some point. I think we're ready to throw it back together, and let's go ahead and throw it in the truck. Alright, so with the distributor wrapped up and ready to install, I'm going to stop. It's past my bedtime, I got to get some sleep, and I'm going to wrap this up in the morning, and we'll see you then. Be right back. Alright, it's the next day. I'm going to go ahead and get this distributor stabbed in, and we're just going to get a good A-B comparison of how the visuals are. And if we haven't yet, I'll show you the wiring plan for this. It did come with the other side of the harness and everything else, and so wiring that up to the coil and a ground would be, I think, pretty simple. We're not going to get that done today because we have so much wiring to do on the Ranger. It's not close, so we're just going to get a visual and we'll go from there. Alright, so before I pulled the old system out, I did set the engine to where the rotor was pointed right at number 1. And so all I've got to do is drop this in the same position where it's pointing at the spot that'll be number 1. Just got to decide which terminal that is. You can orient it as well as you'd like, but in the end it's going to end up rotating on you some as the gears mesh. And sometimes getting the drive shaft to engage for the oil pump can be a thing. That's where we are currently, is with the drive shaft. There it goes. Finally dropped in a little bit more. Yeah. That's the end of it. So we can just pop the cap on there. There we go. Installed, and looks pretty. I don't know that I love the cosmetics of this by itself a lot better, but I do like this a lot better. I can manage that. I probably could have managed the other one too, but like I said, tuning wise, and I've always wanted to have something that was, I've always wanted an MSD, and this almost is, right? So yeah. All right. So we got the distributor recurved and installed, and it looks great. Let me know what you think in the comments. Go ahead and let me know. Is it Duraspark or NeverSpark? What's your thoughts on that? I've never ran it. I don't have a valid opinion. I didn't feel like wiring it in. I didn't know how to tune it for faster advance or amounts of total advance. And so I went with something I was a little bit more familiar with. And yeah, just let me know what you guys think of that decision. And maybe I should save the Duraspark for another topic, or yeah, one of you guys wants it, let me know. Maybe I'll mail it to you. Yeah, hey, help me out. Hit the subscribe button. I want the channel to grow. I want to do more great things. I'm kind of limited what I can do right now with the time I've got, so bear with me right now. I'm going to have to do episodes about every 2 weeks. I hope to grow into something better than that, but that's about what I think I can manage right now. And yeah, everything that you guys can do to help me grow in the meantime, I appreciate so much. Liking, commenting, sharing, these are all helpful things, but subscribe most of all. That definitely helps me to grow. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you in 2 weeks.